All right, so of course the NBA Finals has concluded with the Warriors being the champs, their seventh championship ever, and something to really celebrate. Winning this championship, having Curry be the Finals MVP. Of course, all of us in Dub Nation are completely excited, but we got to remember where we came from, right? It wasn't always this successful this year. The Warriors, of course, had to face adversity this season with injuries and you know, poor play at certain times. And so, as usual, what I do at the end of the season is I do a season in review. And so this is sort of a time to reflect and look back at this long season we had, full playoffs and everything, with the Warriors being the champions. So the Warriors this year finished with a 53-29 record, and that was good enough to be third in the Western Conference. Definitely good, definitely competitive. I wasn't completely satisfied with being third. I think, with the way the season started, right, the Warriors were very, very good to start the season. They won their first 4 games. They lost their 5th game to Memphis, but then they won a bunch in a row and then finally lost to Charlotte. They were, through their first 12 games, they were 11-1. And so to think that they were that good and then drop to third, I was a little bit nervous, because if you're the third seed, there's a chance you're not going to have home court advantage in, one or more series. Now, luckily, the Warriors had home court advantage in all but one series, and that was to Memphis. They didn't have home court advantage through the full series, but, it was fine. The Warriors definitely showed this year that they were a team that would not give up. And I know that's sort of like a cliche thing to say with a championship team. They didn't give up, but the Warriors is a true example of this. For the Warriors, they had to suffer Draymond injury, Klay Thompson injury, and Steph Curry injury. Let's go back first. Obviously, Klay Thompson, he was still injured from those 2 leg injuries he'd faced in the 2 years prior, in those, leading up to that. And he finally returned towards the midseason mark. He played against the Cavaliers, and that was a pretty good win. I believe it was January 9th. And he, it was a great moment for the Warriors, don't get me wrong, but the problem was the second Klay Thompson comes back, Draymond Green leaves with an injury of his own, and he doesn't return for a little while. So we had moments where we were questioning the health of this team, not just physical health, but their health in the standings. So we go, the Warriors are still very competitive without Draymond. They do lose some games here and there. They lose, to the Knicks. They lose to the Jazz in February. And they lose like 4 out of 5. It was hard heading into the All-Star break. The Warriors were not the best team at the All-Star break. They were not even really close to being the best team. For All-Stars, the Warriors had Andrew Wiggins as a starter. They had Stephen Curry, of course, as a starter. And they had Draymond Green, who, of course, was elected as an All-Star, but he did not play, as, like I mentioned, he was injured. So the Warriors had 3 All-Stars this year. Now, I think the Warriors' worst month was March. They opened up the month with a loss to Minnesota by 15 points. Then they lost to Dallas, who they eventually would see in the playoffs. They'd lose to the Lakers pretty badly, lose to Denver, who they also would see in the playoffs. And that was the first couple of days of March. They eventually did go on a 4-game winning streak, but then lost some other games. And Curry got hurt in a blowout loss to none other than the Boston Celtics, a team that we just beat in the finals. But Steph Curry, March 16th, got injured in the Warriors' 70th game of the season. He would miss the remaining 12 games of the regular season with an injury, a leg injury, and I was worried. I was in the desert, but when I came back, I was worried about Steph. I thought, what if he doesn't come in time for the playoffs? What if the Warriors get a bad seed? Luckily, the Warriors did win their last couple of games, so they won their last 5 games, and so that was good. Now, let's go back even further. The Warriors in the offseason drafted, in their first couple rounds, they drafted, in the first round actually, number 7th pick, they picked Jonathan Kuminga, who I think is developing as a star right now. They also picked Moses Moody not too many picks later, and they had, talent off the bench. And I mean, Kuminga and Moody, more so Kuminga got more time, but Moody even, not the most prominent player in our lineup, but I think the Warriors this year really showed that their talent off the bench is what ultimately won them championships. Because the issue with a lot of teams in the NBA is they have talent, but they don't have deep enough talent for when they face injuries, right? What happened when Klay Thompson was injured? Jordan Poole filled in for him, a guy that wasn't super, looked at as a star yet. And he emerged as an amazing player in our starting lineup. Jordan Poole should have won Most Improved Player. I love Jordan Poole's stats this year. Him as a player, I love everything he did for us. Jordan Poole, just a fun guy, just a fun player. Gary Payton II, another great example. He was cut many times. He was even cut by the Warriors, the son of a Hall of Famer. And he makes a huge impact. He's only 6'3", but he's one of the best defenders I've seen on this team in a while. So, Gary Payton II. And then, you look at guys that maybe aren't even really headline-type players. Nemanja Bjelica, we signed him sort of at the end of the offseason, and he makes a great impact for us. I think there's certain games we won because of Nemanja Bjelica. I can't believe I'm saying that. Otto Porter Jr., a guy that really reshaped his career on the Warriors. Even Wiggins. I know we've had Wiggins for a couple years now, but this was his breakout season on the Warriors. Huge driving force in our championship. We signed Iguodala, and I know he didn't even play much this year with injuries and other reasons. And I just want to say, I think Iguodala's presence as a mentor to the younger guys is even more important. So that was awesome to see. Now, James Wiseman, I was disappointed he did not play this year. He was supposed to return in early March. That didn't happen, but we won the championship, so I don't care. I hope Wiseman can return safely next year. As a guy who was drafted number 2 overall, we have high expectations for him, so we'll see what he does if he comes back in a timely manner. Kevon Looney, another guy I just totally respect. He's not the biggest for a center, but he's definitely a dude that tries so hard. He played all 82 regular season games, I believe, and I think he missed one playoff game, so he played all but one game in this season, including playoffs. So the Warriors, let's kind of just go over the playoffs. They, of course, faced the Denver Nuggets in the first round. They won in 5 games. That series, I think, was our easiest, but it was definitely still a hard series considering how close some of the games were. And I forgot to mention, Steph Curry, of course, sort of near the All-Star break, breaking the all-time three-point record. He passed up Reggie Miller, Ray Allen. He got there, hit his 2,974th three-pointer, and that was incredible. I mean, just so many things this season, it's almost hard to remember all these things. But yeah, we go back to the playoffs. We're facing the Nuggets, beat them in 5 games. They don't have Jamal Murray, but we still played a competitive series. Now, we do play the Memphis Grizzlies next. I think this was our hardest playoff series besides the Celtics one, the finals, of course. And this one, we won in 6. Definitely a series that was very hard to watch at certain times. We lost a game in a blowout. We were down by as much as 54 points, I believe, at one point. And the Warriors against the Grizzlies were fatigued. They were sometimes lacking. They were very much, unmatched at some times. But it was weird to think that, considering John Morant was injured partially in this series. And, it was hard for us, too, because Gary Payton II got injured by Dillon Brooks. I was frustrated. I mean, it wasn't just the injury. It was it was just the dirty play that happened. But we were so lucky to have Gary Payton back for the finals. He was amazing. I just love that guy. His story, getting cut multiple times, like I said, by the Warriors too, and made it all this way. He's an NBA champ. Now, then we play the Mavericks, which we win in 5 games. Not that bad. That series almost feels like a blur just because I felt like we were pretty dominant besides that one game. Then we go to the finals, and I'm going to talk about the finals in a separate video in more detail, but we won in 6 games. We lost game 1 choking, and we won game 2, and we lost game 3, and then we win the rest, right? So that was a very, very hard ride, but it was a very good ride. Winning 3 in a row, handing Boston, a team that hardly ever lost back-to-back games, losses like that, incredible, right? It's just something that is so hard to do when you're playing a team like Boston, a team that's very highly respected. So the Warriors hoisted the Larry O'Brien trophy. for the 4th time in 8 years and the 7th time ever. This is a dynasty. This is forever going to go down as one of the great teams ever in sports. Up there with the Michael Jordan Bulls, up there with Tom Brady's Patriots, up there with Derek Jeter's Yankees. It's just the, incredible runs that puts teams like this in, history books, in, enshrined in Hall of Fame legacy and area. And it's just amazing. So I'm just so happy. I could talk about this season for hours, but with the interest of time, I'll wrap this up soon. I just think, with the Warriors, it wasn't an expectation that we were going to win it. I feel like from 2015 through 2019, I myself and a lot of Warriors fans, thought, oh, we're going to win this year. It's a done deal. Or we're going to go to the finals this year, especially when we got Kevin Durant. But this year, there were plenty of moments where I thought, including in the playoffs, maybe when we were playing Grizzlies, maybe we were playing Boston specifically, I thought we are not going to win the finals. I have to accept it now. We're not going to win it. We are not even going to go to the finals. And we did it. We defied odds. We did it. Curry won Finals MVP. That itself defied odds, considering he had won 3 finals already as a league MVP and didn't win it. And so I'm so happy with this. I think I covered everything pretty much. But overall, a great year. My first championship witness of one of my teams on this channel. I've obviously seen the Warriors win before, but not in my tenure as a content creator. So to talk about it here is amazing. And, it's just a great feeling. This season was fun. It was at times not fun, but we made it, and we are the NBA champs. And we're going to be back, hopefully. So anyways, guys, the 53-29 Golden State Warriors of the 2021-22 season, despite being the worst team in the NBA during the 2019-2020 season, at a record of 15-50, and missing the playoffs last season in the shortened 72-game season with tons of heartbreak and losing in the play-in game, the Warriors are the NBA champs. Coming off 2 straight years with no playoffs, they did it, and everyone contributed. So that's going to do it, guys. Can't believe we made it here. Overjoyed. And I'm honestly running out of things to say because I'm just so happy with all that we did. And it's crazy that we did so much. So anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts. I'll see you guys later. And yeah, go Warriors.